What's up guys, welcome to Wasted Space, and we're back in Space Engineers, and with all the talk about planets coming to Space Engineers at some point in the future, I kind of wanted to jump ahead, a bit like I did with the Vulture, and do something for planets before it's even out. So, carrying on a theme that's been in the comments for a little while about the idea of using a modular setup for ships, where you have big components that you can deploy depending on what unit you want at any given time. What I have here is my version 1 of my MCV. Now this is a version 1 because it has an issue I haven't been able to sort out yet that maybe you guys can help me with. But diving straight in, I'll just show you what it does. So you can imagine that this ship up here has just dropped us off on this planet. Okay, it's not a planet, it's a bit of asteroid I made flat, but you get the idea. And the next thing we're going to do, having the ship, after the ship has left, is we're going to come out and we're going to press this blue button here to deploy the MCV. So press that, and then we've got a bit of time to get out of its way before it does its business. So you can now see it's going ahead and doing what this thing does. And the idea was to make something as compact as I possibly could that could still function as pretty much everything you would need for a small survival base on a new planet. So once this is finished unfolding, we'll go in and have a look around. Hopefully I've got the I've got the ramps just about unfolding the right distance. Obviously these ramps, it's best to unfold them a short distance and then extend it if need be, rather than unfold them too far and break it. So coming into the ship here, obviously this is all very, very tightly packed when it's formed up, but when it's not formed up you have a reasonably nice little tight setup in here. So reactor is here purely for backup. You don't want to have no reactor at all on your setup, but this thing, as you can see, is solar powered, and you would adjust that beam up there to point towards the sun wherever it is. It's got both ranges of movement. And then if we come further into the base, we have a pair of refineries, pair of assemblers, pair of blast furnaces, sorry, big chunk of cargo down the side there, an upside down medbay because it was the easiest way to make it fit, and that actually slides over the top of the pistons here without damaging itself. Then we have a control panel for no reason. We have an upside down gravgen, so this brings its own gravity. Obviously a planet should have gravity, but for the time being I figured I'd put that on there. And then that side of the ship, if I just fly out for a second, is completely coated in more solar panels, just because why not? It's a wall. If you happen to land the thing the right way around, as you see, you can get a decent amount of power from there. In the floor itself we have the batteries and then the timers that are needed to make this thing sort of unfold like it does. And then on this side we have a pair of assemblers and two connectors alongside the beacons, so we know where we are, obviously, how we can find it again, and two connectors which are designed to work alongside the little ship that this comes with. So we have a little mining vessel on the side here. Depending on how planets are going to work, this may end up wanting to be a wheeled mining vessel potentially. Don't know yet, but for the time being I've made it into a little ship and forgotten to turn off the front thruster by the looks of things. But yeah, that's all connected up and survival ready, battery powered of course. And that's kind of the idea behind this, was to try and make a tiny little contained device for sort of survival mode exploration when planets come out, and I think it works quite nicely. I'll just shut it back up again so you can see how it all fits together when it's in place. I mean, there's not a huge amount to the construction of this other than the time taken to work out how on earth you can fit things into these small gaps. So as it closes up here, you'll see it rotates everything back into the upright position on the rotors first, and then it's going to pull the pistons inwards, and they kind of, the floor slots in over the bottom here, and that's what makes up sort of the floor plates once it's unfolded. We've got these little ramps everywhere. They're really nice because you can kind of do slightly cheaty things, like here the two assemblers, they should collide with it, but they're not going to because it's at that funky angle. So they're going to come in, they get very close but not actually collide with the thing. And there's a lot of that all over here. Lots of use of blast doors, lots of things that aren't quite vertical but almost. And if we fly down, the only way in like this is through the side here. This is what it all looks like when it's fully packed up. So as you can see, there really isn't very much room in here to fit anything more than we have. You could replace that control panel there with something more useful perhaps, but I feel this has got everything you need in a little survival world. We can also open and close from inside, of course, because you don't want to get trapped in here. So should you actually be inside, you can use the control panels to open yourself up. And that's about the extent of it for today. I mean, a relatively simple idea, but actually building it and putting it all together so that it sort of moved without breaking itself is a bit of a challenge. And now I got to talk about the issue with it, and the issue with it's reasonably easy to demonstrate, and it's why I haven't shown you me landing it in this. And if I just get the blueprint for it out and put it out here, you'll notice that this is a platform at the moment, and that's for a reason. And that's because if I go in here and turn it into a ship, it's going to start spinning violently for no apparent reason. And no matter what I do as far as putting gyros on it, I can't stop it from doing this either. To the extent that when we put it into the MCV carrying ship, wherever it is, this thing, it'll spin that as well. And if I put sufficient gyros on the big ship to stop this from spinning, it will break either merge blocks or connectors, whichever you use. So if I just put some gyros on here, you would expect this to eventually stop the thing from spinning. And you think, oh look, there we go, it's slowing down, we're fine. But it's not slowing down, it's just changing direction. And it doesn't seem to matter how many or where I put these. I can put them on every single surface that rotates. It's still trying to do this. Now, I believe it's something to do with some collision somewhere in here, where there's some rotors or something is not sort of, it's touching each other, even though it's allowing me to slide them next to each other without breaking it. They are in fact colliding, so they're pushing this whole thing around. But as you can see, even now with the entire thing pretty much covered in gyros, it hasn't actually stopped spinning yet. It still wants to travel wherever it travels. Let's make sure every single separate surface that is separate has something on it. And yeah, there you go. You can see that I haven't found a solution to this. If anyone has a solution, I'd love to know what it is, or has a possible cause aside from just something in there is colliding. Please let me know. This will go up on the workshop as it usually does, so have a look. Otherwise, I think it's quite a cool concept. I'm certainly going to come back and do it again and see if I can come up with an even tighter way of packaging it, or a better way of laying it out so when it expands it works slightly more realistically when we get there. But otherwise, I'm pretty happy with the idea, and I think it'd be pretty functional. I mean, everything's conveyed up, everything's accessible, and then when you need to, you're done with that planet, fold it back up again, and off you go. Come and pick it up with the carrier once I've sorted this. So there you go, guys. Hope you liked it. If you did, please hit like, please hit subscribe. Really helps me and the channel out. If you didn't like it, please leave me a comment as to say why. How could I improve it? What could I do better? And otherwise, thanks a lot for watching, guys. I'll catch you next time.